Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Dark Art Society podcast. My name is Chet. I'm your host, and today we are checking in with Tom Taggart. He's been on the podcast once before, but it was pre-pandemic. I didn't realize that until we started talking about it. But yeah, it's been a while, and he's a great artist. I love his work. Really cool guy, and so we had a great time. It is, let me say the date. It is the 2/27/23. That's the date. February 27th, 2023. And let's see what's been going on here with me. This dog. We got this new dog here. Hopefully she'll come and introduce herself. Valentine, come here. Come here. Come up here. Come up. Jump up. Jump up. Come on. Up. Come here if you want a treat. You want a treat? Come on. Up. Okay. Can you see her? Look at that big head. What a sweet girl. Okay. There you go. That's Valentine. She is very sweet. What a good girl. Okay, that's enough. That's our new dog we just got from the shelter. She's amazing. The granddaughters named her Valentine, and it's actually a perfect name because she's so affectionate. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's been going on with me lately. I've been kind of dealing with this dog, settling in, getting to know the place. But she's really great, really smart, fast learner, very affectionate, really cool. She just kind of got a lot of energy. They said she was 3.5 years old, but the vet said she looked at most 2. So she's still kind of coming out of puppyhood somewhat. She's got that young dog energy, which is good. You know, I've just been giving her walks and playing with her a lot and stuff. Anyway, that's what's been going on. Also, I got back here. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see. I'm working on this painting for this Giger tribute show. That's going to be a great show at Copro Gallery. So that's been the latest thing I've been working on. It's a big 24x48, big for me. 24x48 inches, a tall, thin painting called The Divine Feminine. And I'm trying to, if you're watching YouTube, you can see I'm trying to do something that was, sorry, keeping my eye on this dog. Come on, come back here, Valentine. Move it. Back it up. Good girl. Sit. I'm trying to, in designing the painting, I was trying to do something that looked like something I would do, but also had a Giger flavor. I didn't want to just do like a Giger rip-off painting. I wanted to try and pay tribute to Giger as one of my favorite artists, but also keep my own thing going. So I'm putting this kind of like sort of the colors. The colors are kind of Gigery, and I'm putting all this tubing and machinery in the background. Anyway, I'm enjoying it. It's got to be finished, though. I got to finish it this week. Then I'm done with show paintings, and I can get back to commissions and everything else. Oh, I also want to mention I have some, I got a surprise tax bill, and I made some Last of Us clicker-inspired studies that are in the web store, and I'm trying to sell those so I can cover this tax bill because it's not small, and it's very unexpected. So go to chetzar.bigcartel.com for that. I also wanted to mention that Dark Art Society member Eric Lamarca has been running a gallery in New York City, a dark art gallery called 86 Orchard, and he's got some shows coming up that he wanted me to mention. Ferruccio von Puttkamer is having a solo show 3/9 to 4/16. Tanya Pomales is having a show there. in the near future. Steve Clough, who's both have been guests on the show. Stefania Medeiros is having a show, and Rowan Dumont. I guess he's really trying to carry the torch and spread the good word of dark art in New York. So I just wanted to mention that. You can go to 86orchard.com for more info. That's it. I guess that's it. Oh, I know something new. Oh, first off, if you want to support us on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/darkartsociety, and you can join for as little as $1. And if you join at the $5 level, you will get, we're not doing the raffle anymore. We are doing the, if you join at the $5 level, you get a coupon code. Let me see here. I got to find this text from, sorry. Here we go, from Kyle at Skull Shop. Okay, 20% off. You get 20% off a Skull Shop skull using this coupon code if you join the Dark Art Society Patreon at the $5 and above level. And that's SKULLSHOPPE. And their skulls are great. All my skull paintings are using them as reference because they look so real. Here's one now. Valentine looks like she wants to take a bite. This dog's so funny too. It's the first dog I've ever had that if you give her a bone, she will immediately go and bury it. I've never had a dog that actually buries bones. It's very classic. And if you join at any level, you get your name read on the air for supporting us. Let me see here. And we've got some new subscribers who I'd like to thank. That would be Christopher Weldy. Thank you, Christopher. And Russell King. Russell King, you are the king. Russell King, I think you subscribe to my personal Patreon, which is patreon.com/ChetZar. So I really appreciate that support. I could not be doing this podcast without the support of the members on Patreon. It just wouldn't happen. I don't have time to do it without making just a little bit of money, the small amount of money I get from it. So thank you for supporting. And let's see, is there anything else? I guess another thing I'll say is that I have skipped. I've done for the last month like every other week, and I may do that when I need to. I've mentioned this before, but I was thinking about going every 2 weeks on the podcast, but I've got the next 3 weeks lined up, so I don't know if I'm gonna, maybe I should keep one in the can, as they say, and do it every other week. I don't know. I feel like people that listen really look forward to it dropping every week. So I guess I'll try and keep doing it every week, but if I skip a week, you'll know why. It just means that I'm on some crazy painting deadline and I can't do it that week, because it does help a lot to be able to skip a week when I need to. I'm sure I'm missing something. Oh, well. Yeah, I guess that's it. Let's get on with this interview. It was really fun catching up with Tom. He's a great guy and great artist. And I had fun talking to him. So I think you'll enjoy this. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. And here we go with Tom Taggart. Hello, Tom.
Hey, Chet.
How you doing? I've been good.
Yeah, you kind of vanished from Facebook for a while there.
I know. I'm back now and again, but I think I told you this when we talked last, but I got off Facebook. I started going to Twitter. because I was trying out that NFT thing. Worked pretty well for a while. Then the whole market crashed. And then also around the same time, Elon Musk took over, totally fucked it up. So now it
Yeah.
sucks. Twitter's terrible. And anyway, it's like I kept going back to Facebook, and every time I went on, I was like, oh, it's too much. I just can't deal with it. You know, it's like I got some distance, and then I was like, man, I just I can't do it. I just felt like I couldn't get back on like I was before. And so now I'm not on anything now that much. It's just like,
Oh,
just to promote stuff. Cause
yeah.
I don't know. I guess you know, cause I've been doing since MySpace, I've been on steadily. This is like
Yeah.
2013 or something. I've been on all the time on social media, constantly promoting and just interacting. And it just was like, man, it's like 10 years of,
It's draining, and it's a whole other thing. It's like the rules are different from reality, and everything just it's so stressful. It really is.
I know.
If I could, I would just walk away from it all too. But I really rely on it to make sales.
Yeah. No, yeah. The thing is, I've got, I guess the other part of the equation I didn't mention is, everything is directed towards my Patreon now. So it's
Yeah,
like I'm on Patreon, so people know where to find me. If you are, you know, if you're really serious about my work and you have $1 a month, you can follow me on there and pretty much know everything that's going on. Plus, I've got the podcast, and so I feel like I've been there for people who really want me. If they just, it's just not quite as easy to get to me since I'm not like right there on Facebook all the time. But you know,
well, that might
I
be
mean,
better because you're getting the people that actually want what you're giving, and not just the people that like. Since lots happened since last we talked, and
a lot, yeah. It's been a
you
long
know,
time.
going viral on social media is a whole weird thing. I don't know if it's ever happened to you.
No, not like you. Not like with the, tell me about that because your
Well,
bookshelves went.
the bookshelf pieces, yeah, they just like overnight. Like I had literally just started my Instagram, and I was at maybe like 800 or 900 people following me, and really not doing much of anything. And it went from that to like 15,000, you
Really?
know,
In a
in a week.
week? Holy
And
shit.
that's great. It's exciting. And I was like losing my mind over it. But at the same time, the downside to it is it's not a lot of people who give a shit about who or what I am. It's
Right.
people who saw a thing and want the thing. And how do I get the thing? They hit the follow, and I've never heard or seen from them
Yeah.
since. So I've got, thousands of followers that don't really, whereas you got followers that are a little more loyal and devoted to you. They know who you are. They know what you're about. It's not just a thing they want.
Yeah, I guess that's from a slow, steady, organic
Yeah,
building of followers. Whereas when you have that rush from something going viral, you just get random people that just
yeah,
follow you. You know,
yeah,
so that makes
yeah.
sense.
It was insane. It was absolutely. I mean, it's great. It's great. And I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
It's just that there is a weird side to it, a kind of a downside to it, and of course then all the copycats and the people stealing. Where are we stealing my own work? Everybody's all up in arms now about AI art, and how it's going to be stealing everybody. I have people literally taking my pictures and slapping it on their product and saying, this is for sale, and I can't do anything about it because they're in China.
Oh, really?
You know,
And
and
probably underpricing you as well.
oh, of course, and it's not just the underpricing. It's just that they have the resources to just kind of mechanize this whole thing and churn out billions of these damn things, and it just kind of takes my thunder. But again, the people that are going for that sort of stuff aren't the people that are going to be buying my work.
Right.
They never would. It's just like
Yeah, they're not art collectors.
exactly. And I got a lot of inbox messages that people think it's like Walmart. Like, can I order 20 of these? Can I order? And it's just like, yeah, you got, $50,000. Sure, you can order 20 of them. And people are all like, oh my God. And then the whole added stress of suddenly going from, really just having to hustle to make rent to suddenly having so many people wanting something that you don't have.
Right.
You don't have it. People are pounding on the door. Where's those werewolves? Search me.
Did you
I,
did you end up doing a mold or anything? Or are they?
yeah.
Because you were doing them as one-offs, like hand sculpted each one before, right?
Yeah. I was pretty stubborn, and I still kind of am.
There's
I
something
want
about
to,
a one-off piece
yeah,
that's really
yeah.
special and precious.
Not just that, there's also something incredibly draining about doing 50 of the same damn thing
Yeah,
over.
that's true. True.
But it is what it is. So I'm trying to do a little bit of both. I have the one-offs, and then I have the editions, and I have a couple of them here. This is the one that I'm doing right now, the Were Tiger.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
That's so
I
cool.
do these as limited editions. There's only going to be 24 of these.
Okay.
And this green one, I do a thing where Patreon, they can get even more limited things. They can get the green one.
Oh, okay.
No one else, and it was the same with the Frankensteins that I did. Patreon, they could get the black and white version, and nobody else could. And I'm going to have some that only Patreon people can buy, and whatever. But I still try to have the things that everybody else wants. But it's still a lot of work, and
Oh yeah.
mold, casting, and these are all in wood boxes. I do all kinds of finishing on them and stuff like that. It's a whole project. Even molding and casting and doing limited edition, it's still more work than most people are just popping out things out of a mold and not even touching it.
Right. Yeah. Or they're I'm sure the Chinese stuff. It's like it gets popped out of a mold, and it goes down an assembly line of someone who's just painting black irises, and someone who's and it's like on the other for us, we're like hand painting each one, and it's like I just did these heartbroken minis, these little those little heads of the. I don't have one in here, but anyway, they all have to be hand painted. It's actually similar to this, which is one of my Kickstarter rewards.
Cool. Yeah.
It's like a paint job about like this, but it's like, and it doesn't seem like much, but it's like in order to do it the way I think it looks good, it takes like, a few days, because I'm like layering oil paints, because oil paint sticks like crazy to this resin in a way that acrylic, I haven't been able to get acrylic to stick as well. So it's like I have to do one thin layer, let it dry. Then I have to do another layer to do some detail, let that dry, and it's a lot of work. It just even though you can break it up to where it's like, okay, 30 minutes and then you wait a day. It's still a lot. You get
these people who are like so bent out of shape about the price of things, and yet the same people will go to a science fiction convention and pay like $300 for a lightsaber. And then come over and complain about my $100 piece of artwork.
Yeah, it's crazy. People don't realize the work involved,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's handmade art. Takes time.
Yeah.
It should be more expensive. So has that been kind of your main source of income for a while now, or?
Well, yes. I'm trying to kind of break away from that, because I don't want to be just a gimmick guy. I don't want to have just one thing. And I mean, I've already got billions of people trying to take my one thing anyway, so I might start doing other things. And it's like you got to keep trying to push it and be better and be better and be better, so that they can't copy it.
Right.
But when I went viral the benefit of it as well was that my Patreon went up,
Oh, good.
and that was great. It's kind of leveling off now. I gotta start boosting it up. It
I
tends
know.
to come
Mine is too. Mine's like,
this time of year. It tends to go, boo.
oh yeah,
But
my sales have been not great lately.
I can pretty much sell everything I make. I just I'm getting old. I'm like probably about the same age as you. What are you, 24?
I am 55.
55? Yeah, I'm 58
Yeah.
or 57, somewhere around there. I don't even one of those. I feel it. I feel so like, oh man, and like it hits me like, man, I'm almost 60, and
I
then it's just like
know.
you have about like 20, maybe 10 to 20 good years, and then it's like I can't imagine doing this when I'm 80. When I'm 80, I'm like, how am I going to be doing this? And
Yeah, if we're lucky enough to make it to 80, that's the thing.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
it's so weird. I was just thinking about that the other this morning. I was thinking about um how it's so weird to get old because it's true what you always hear old people say that they still feel the same as when they're like
yeah,
18
yeah,
or whatever. Like mentally, you feel like the same as you always did, but you do feel smarter. I feel smarter and
yeah,
less giving a shit about a lot of things.
yeah,
But um, you notice that everything around you're not being marketed to anymore like you were. Like remember when we were younger, everything it's like everything is geared towards 20 and 30-year olds mostly. And so it's
mhm,
like it's almost like all the attention's on you, like you're so super important at that age because you're
yeah,
so it makes you feel like the world is mine. It's all about people my age. And then you get to a certain age and it's like no one's marketing anything to you. And you just see like, you get this feeling like you're sort of being left behind. And on one hand, it's like, oh, good. On the other hand, it's like, oh man, I'm on the way out. You feel it.
I definitely don't feel like the same person I was in my 30s. I don't feel that at all.
No?
I feel like a very different person now than I was even 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I've when I was younger, I had a real problem with like jealousy. Like I couldn't be around artists that were doing good or doing better than me because I was
Hmm.
like, God, this guy's getting all this and I'm not getting nothing.
Uh,
But I've worked through a lot of that kind of stuff, so I'm kind of like at a much calmer place now, and like
yeah,
I got
yeah.
a lot of better things. And I think artistically, like I wasn't even near this level. I wish I was like this at 30. I wish that I
Right.
was thinking things. I wish I could see things the way I do. But I still feel like even if I was at this level at 30, it still wouldn't have been good enough. Like I feel like I'm so far behind everybody else that it's just like a constant catch up.
Everybody feels that, I think. I think most artists feel that. My dad said when he didn't feel like he really knew how to paint until he was 50. I remember him
Yeah.
saying that. I was like, that's crazy because you've been doing it since I was a little kid. When you're in your 30s, doing amazing stuff. But I understand it now. I understand it.
Maybe, maybe it's like with the internet and all now because we're constantly barraged by it. But I see these like young kids that are just like, yeah, here's I never sculpted before, but here's something, and it's just like, what the hell? Like 20 years into my career, I still wasn't doing that. And
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
you've never sculpted before, and you just farted that thing out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we didn't have the resources, There wasn't like anything. I remember when I was first learning, I'm talking when I was like 12 years old and I was starting to think about sculpting masks. It was hard to find information. There was no internet. You had to find like weird obscure books on
Yep.
stage makeup in order to see how they made a mold for a
Yep.
rubber nose, which is
Yep.
like, okay, if you make a mold for a rubber nose, it's kind of like, I know it's kind of like that. And then there was like I remember there was, Cinemagic magazine, which is this weird, obscure little
And say, yep.
magazine that had like a whole tutorial on how to make masks.
But even then, it always seemed like it was like they were dealing with materials and stuff that I had no idea where they got
Mm-hmm.
this. Like you couldn't just go down to pearl paint, which doesn't even exist anymore,
Right.
or whatever, and find this stuff. It was always like, oh, what's that? I don't even know where you get that.
Yeah.
Now it's like you go online, you can find anything. You can find anything, and not only can you find the materials, like if you're dealing with smooth on, they have people there that will give you tutorials.
Yep.
They'll show you videos. They'll tell you what you need to use to do what you got to do. So yeah, you're right. There is a lot more. And as far as like filming, I hear the ice cream truck. You hear that?
It'd be funny if you ran out the door. I'll be right back.
If I had $1 or two, well, who knows how much ice cream is now? I haven't bought it in a long time. Probably need like $20
Yeah,
to
right.
get
$20 for a drumstick.
Yeah. Every time I go to the grocery store, I'm thinking it's the 90s, and I bring just enough money for what I got in the 90s, and I always have to put stuff back, and it's just like, for God's sakes.
I know it's so sad. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing to.
We grew up in a time where people used cash.
Yeah,
Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember going to the grocery store or whatever, and people had to type every damn thing in?
Yeah.
They didn't have that scanning thing. It's a whole different world.
Yeah, I remember when bank cards first started being used, and it was like a new thing, and yeah, it's a trip. It's cool to watch in a way, but it's weird to look, it's just I don't want to be the old guys reminiscing show too much, but it's weird to think back in 2000 doesn't seem that long ago to me. 2010 doesn't seem long at all. It's like 13 years ago. 2010 is seems like recent memory. It's just weird how time speeds up the older you get too.
We're done with this. It'll be 2050.
Yeah.
But nowadays they have, all the digital cameras and stuff like that. Like we had to take things, in 35 millimeter film. You had to buy the film, you had to take the shots, you had to send it to processing and hope to God that you got the shots because the sculpture's already shipped out.
Yep. And you had to know how to operate the camera and f-stops and all that crazy stuff.
There are so many pieces of sculpture and whatnot that I did that I never even bothered to photograph.
Right.
Now it's like everything is documented.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything's documented.
Yeah, our era will definitely be highly documented. Our era of artists, probably the most documented era of art that's ever existed. But with that comes a bunch of crap because everyone's documenting everything, even stuff that shouldn't be documented.
Well, the problem I have is with Patreon. It's not just a matter now of having photos of finished work. It's the whole step-by-step process. So I'll have like hundreds and hundreds of photos in different folders of like, here's how this thing was put together. Here's how it was sculpted. Here's how it was painted. Mm-hmm. It starts to become this whole thing. Like I got so many folders that I got to go through, and it's just like, oh my God, I just want to get rid of all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like get rid of it. It's going to be like, oh, where's that photo of, the time I was working on that thing and I don't have it.
Yeah. It's a nightmare finding. Yeah. I'm so bad at organization too. I really try, but I'm not good at it. Yeah, it'd be nice. I mean, have you thought about getting like an assistant to help you? Have you ever?
It probably would be great, but I'm so neurotic and so full of anxiety that I don't know that I could do that because
me too. I'm like that too.
Like, even if I just had someone coming in here and casting stuff,
mm-hmm.
I'd be checking all the time and being like, no, you're not doing this right, or how's this going? And I'd always be feeling like, I'd be the guy that ends up spending money on somebody that just cost me money. Like, oops, I just spilled, 2 gallons of resin on the floor, like that kind of thing.
I need to get somebody to help with the podcast. That would be such a huge help because I have been going the last couple weeks. I only did one every 2 weeks, and man, that was such a huge difference because I've been doing this thing for every week for like 6 years now or something. Wow. And it's just like I got into the routine, but it takes like, the first day that like today, Mondays, which is the interview day. it's like up, I'll start the interview at 1, and it's like the first part of the day, it's hard to get going on a painting. I got this painting I'm working on, and it's like, you don't want to get going and then have to stop. So
Yep.
it's like, then you do the interview, lasts an hour and a half, an hour or whatever. And then you kind of come down from that a little bit because you're sort of hyped and amped. And then it's like 3, 4 o'clock. And then it's just like, so basically what I'm saying is the first day gets blown. Second day is editing, which doesn't take that long, but it takes enough time. Like it ends up being an hour or two, and then you have to upload it. And it's just like my first 2 days get blown of the week. So then it's like, I've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I end up not taking the weekends off because I'm working like full time after that. So I really want to get someone. I'm putting the call out there. Anybody listening, if you want a job editing this podcast, I guess I'm asking you now to hit me up, because that would be really helpful. Because I need to start doing that. I got someone that helps me cast, which is great, and does my shipping and stuff now. So it's like my daughter-in-law comes and helps me and stuff. So I got some help, which it's so worth it. But man, there's certain things I just can't. I feel like I have to do myself because I just want them done right.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's weird because I've worked in other studios. I used to do miniature golf sculptures and stuff like that, and I was in charge of lots of people, so I know how to relegate things and have this person do that person do that. But as soon as it becomes mine, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're doing it wrong, or it's just not doing enough. You're whatever. But yeah, I probably could use some help. I don't know. Like
if you could find someone in your area is the thing, because you're maybe in an area that it would be harder
I'm in a weird area, I'll tell you that.
But there might be just the right person in that area that's like another weirdo like you that like would you guys would just hit it off.
You never know.
You have to group together.
Stranger things have happened. I know that these two guys back here aren't much help at all.
Yes, I remember when you found those dogs.
Yeah,
I remember. I remember saying that you're gonna fall in love with these dogs. You're gonna keep these dogs. I knew it. I knew it.
I kind of felt it too. It was really kind of just strange because I'm sitting here in the studio. I hear these dogs barking at the door. I open the door, and literally they just walked right in, and they never left. That's just it.
I mean, that's like meant to be when something like that happens, where it's like the dog literally comes to your door, barks, and then comes in. It's like having a dog delivery service. You can't get better than that.
And they just walked around the place, scoped it out, and then went and sat on the couch.
It's so good having them around. They're such great companions for the studio.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten through the whole past few years without them. I mean, because I think the last time we talked, it was right before I got them, and it was also before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
That made everything crazy because first off, I've moved out to a town that I don't know anybody. I'm in a studio. I live and I work alone, and it's just like suddenly everything's going shut down. I would have been like, well, I kind of am, but they kind of give me something to focus on and be okay with. And
and they get you out for walks, and they keep you kind of, I don't know, they're like very grounding. I find them very grounding pets to be. Just to get you outside of your own head in a way too, and focus, outside and thinking about someone else other than yourself, like taking care of them, because when you're alone as an artist, you tend to just be like in your head all the time, I think.
Yes, very much so. at least having them around has been, a little bit of comfort. Actually, it's been a lot of comfort. I love them. I love them very much.
Yeah, they're great dogs. I see the pictures. I hear the stories.
Very good for a change. They're usually up and all over the place.
So funny. Yeah, we just got our new one too because baby girl died. I don't know. It was like a month and a half ago, just kind of
Yeah.
suddenly. But we ended up getting this pit bull that the grandkids named Valentine, and she is just the coolest dog. So nice, so sweet,
Yeah.
just amazing. My neighbor is afraid of dogs. She's never had a dog. I think she got bit by a dog when she was a kid, and she never touches them, never anything about dogs. She freaks out, and for some reason, I brought the dog. I saw her out, and I brought the dog by, and I was like, she's really, really nice because she's super, super nice. Pit bull, I think Staffordshire Bull Terrier or something, and she, for some reason, she pet the dog. And she's like, oh my God. And like the dog licked her and was really sweet to her. And she's like, that's the first dog I think I've ever pet in my life. And it was a pit bull. And it's like, really, really,
Pit bulls are, sweet, friendly dogs.
yeah.
People think they're not. These two are hell on earth. They're little monsters. They will attack anything. Well, they actually they won't. They love people.
Mm-hmm.
They love people. They love little kids. They love adults. Anybody that comes here, they have to say hello to them. They're jumping all over the place. But they see another dog, they lose their mind. Lady with birds out the window all day. But the one thing is, there's a couple of pit bull mixed dogs around in the neighborhood, and those are the only dogs that these two seem to like.
Oh, that's funny.
Every other dog, but they like the pit bulls.
Huh. Yeah. I swear by pit
One
bulls.
time, Waffles was being chased by a big dog, and I was walking the dogs, and this area, so many people just let the dogs out. They don't put them on leashes. They don't watch them or anything. And this big dog comes running out of nowhere and goes for Waffles.
Oh, shit.
Waffles is jumping all around. He twisted out of his harness somehow, so he's running around. The big dog got a hold of him, and Lady, without hesitating at all, she was like right on it. She grabbed that dog by the nuts and held him. She just held that dog.
She bit onto the nuts?
And she just clamped onto that dog's nuts, and she would not let go.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
She's so fierce.
That's amazing.
Waffles is a little fragile boy, but Lady, she's a tough egg.
Do you live there? Do you live in that studio?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wish I could, but it's weird. I just found out today there's a church across the field over here, an old abandoned church that they're converting into live-work studio space. So I don't know what that's going to amount to, but I wish this was live-work studio space. It's just work.
Yeah. So but the dogs live there, or do they go home with you?
A little bit of both, because it's a room in a woman's house, and she has a cat.
Oh, okay.
And even on the days when the cat isn't there, they got a mind like a steel vice. If they saw the cat on the couch once, they expect the cat to be on the couch every goddamn time. So every time they pass the couch, cat or no, they jump up barking and screaming and losing it. And then they're sitting at the bedroom door the whole time wanting to get out and go find the cat.
Yeah,
so they're
right.
But they don't mind being in there. They have a little kennel.
Oh, I'm sure. Here. Yeah, I'm sure. It's a big space. You have a big studio. It's really nice.
Huge studio. That's the one really great thing. Is I have a great studio space. It's I can do whatever I want. I mean, this whole thing behind me, just kind of on. I mean, that is that's just sort of a thing that I started mostly because I got the space, and two, it's something I just want to do, and three, it kind of works out as a Patreon teaching mechanism.
Cool.
I show how I do it on Patreon. And ultimately, I expect to get a lot more of it done, and it could be like for stuff like this, it's kind of cool to have like a backdrop, or
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
great.
models wanted to have a backdrop and come in and use the studio and whatever,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of cool because I do workshops here as well.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that.
yeah, from time to time, I haven't done it much lately because of the pandemic, but I'm
Mhm.
starting to think about doing it again, just to have like sculpture classes, painting classes, and whatnot.
Cool.
And having something like this just kind of makes it more of a kind of more like the students are coming into Willy Wonka's factory,
Oh yeah,
except,
yeah.
except I don't kill them. I don't I don't drown anybody in milk chocolate here. We, we don't.
This is
But
a,
it
it's, I mean, every shop I worked at, a makeup effect shop I worked in had like a display room. It's like,
yeah.
it's cool to
Yeah.
do that, especially if you're bringing clients in, just to have cool decor. I mean, for people who aren't watching this on YouTube and listening, this is like a wall. You want to describe it? The idea behind it?
It really just started that I wanted to make a movie set. I
Uh,
really just wanted to do like a set piece. And
okay.
my the seed that was planting it in my head was I was looking at Harry Potter when he was down in the Chamber of Secrets, and those big heads and everything all over the place. I was just like, well, that'd be kind of cool just to do like a little thing. And like everything that I do, it starts off being one thing and just goes left and then goes into something completely different.
Hmm.
Now it's going to be kind of a catacombal kind of thing, but there's also going to be different elements to it. Like I don't know how much I can show, but
Oh
like up
yeah.
above, I I wanted it to change into more like iron girders and stuff like that, and I want to have a giant robot reaching over it,
Oh man, that's so cool.
giant robot head in his hand,
That is
and then
so cool.
over more towards this side where that big window is. It'll go more into like a sci-fi kind of looking thing with like Borg-esque kind of
That's
things, and
amazing.
it's just something to have around to make the place a little more interesting, and
Yeah.
to it helps for a lot of reasons. Not only does it get you Patreons, not only does it get people coming into the studio for um, classes and whatnot, but it also helps to build kind of like this whole image of this weird guy, with the shop. And people on social media will look at it and they're like, oh, I want to come see that. I don't want
Hmm.
to be there, and it just it just feeds into itself.
Yeah. When I worked at Rick Baker's shop, it was so cool. You walk in the front door and it's a big, huge, huge space. And to the left is a big graveyard, like a forced perspective graveyard with like a mural, um, painted of like uh, moonlit night. And then there was like cutaway under. I I think I'm remembering this correctly. It's like the ground plane was sort of like a cross section, so you could see corpses in there in the
Mm-hmm.
ground. And then you look to the right, and it's all done up like a castle. Like
Oh, cool.
yeah, and he had these flying monkey gargoyles from the Wizard of Oz perched all over the place, and it was it was insane. Marble. He had a night, like it was basically the inside of the shop was done up like an old Gothic castle. And
Cool.
yeah, it's like what we would do if we had that kind of money, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. It also takes a lot of time.
Yeah, well, it was like he didn't do it. He had like he hired a bunch of he's got his people, and I think
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
to keep them around when things are slow, he'd have them work on this stuff. It's really really great. I'm sure he designed it, but he had all these hands to create this stuff for him. I would totally do
It's
it.
also good to have something like this around, though, just to take a break from all the
Yeah.
like when
Oh,
I'm working on this, I'm working on what I want to do, and I'm not doing it to sell anything. I'm not doing it
I
to.
know.
It's just a me thing,
It's
and
funny how you get into this fine art thing to do your own thing because you don't want to be told what to do. And then when that thing gets commodified to a point to where it's like, oh shit, it's like I'm working them. This is like working my old job again. Even though I'm painting the paintings I want to do, I'm still on a deadline. I still have to get it. I have to do all this stuff. So, you're then you have like, okay, well, this stuff other stuff I want to do that doesn't have money tied to it, I can do it like on the weekend. And so it's like, I feel like I escaped makeup effects because I wanted to do my own thing and get out of having a regular job. And I went into a job where I worked twice as much. And it's like the same thing though. During the week, I'm doing like a job. And then if I'm lucky on the weekend, I can squeeze in the stuff I'm really want to do.
That's it exactly. And so
can't win.
So many people don't get that aspect of it, that it's, when you're doing this, you're working twice, 3 times, 4 times as hard because you're probably just like me. I work all the time.
Yep.
There's never a day that I'm not working. There's never, if I'm awake, I'm in the studio and I'm working. And to that, I just want to say that even if I'm just sitting here not working, that's working.
Right.
That's all part of it. Sometimes you're just sitting here staring at something. That's part of it.
Yeah, thinking.
You can't take that out of it. You can't just be constantly, there's a lot of just, frustration. There's a lot of anxiety about stuff. There's a lot of just shutting down and fighting stuff, like this damn thing I've changed and rechanged so many damn times. And, it's a lot of work. It's work.
It is. But, if you think about it, I mean, I'm sure you like to work. You like to work on this stuff. I like to work on stuff I'm interested in. And, but there is a point where it's like, this is too much. I don't want to be working this much. But on the other hand, it's like the trade-off is still worth it. It's still worth it, because I
just wish that the money wasn't so much driving force.
I know. It sucks, man.
Back a little bit of that,
just a little bit, just like give us a little bit of a break.
Like to have the next 2 months' rent already in the bank.
Right. Yeah, that would be amazing.
That would be nice. That's all. Just to know that, like, God forbid something happens to the dogs and I got to go to the vet today, that I have the money for it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have to, wear my shoes until they literally fall apart.
I know. It's like, we're not looking for Lamborghinis or anything. It's just like,
hell no. I just want to exist, and I just want to be able to pay my bills, go to the dentist from time to time.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
And make stuff.
So
what I was gonna say was, sure, we're missing out on, what are we missing out on though? Like going out and hanging out at a club or a bar, or it's like, as much as our time is taken up creating artwork, that, what else? You have to live a life. You have to spend time living, doing something. So at least we've got things that we're proud of to show for it. Whereas if you're just kind of like going to the bar every night or every weekend, it's like, you don't have any, what do you have to show for that? I guess experience maybe, but I don't know. I feel like every art piece, especially the ones that you're really into, are like a real deep experience and really enjoyable too when you get in the flow, and it's just so much fun. Sometimes it's like I want them to keep going. Like I don't want to finish them because they're so much fun sometimes. Not always.
Yeah. Like I started these guys. I'll show you. I recently got some monster clay that I've never worked with before.
Oh, cool.
And I just started kind of playing around with it. And,
that's great. Yeah, I love
just
it.
doing things I want to do, and that's kind of fun. I will say I got into that and kind of got swept away with it because I'm avoiding, putting these guys together.
Oh, I know, man.
I'm so into like creating something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can sit there, with the TV on, with some old movie,
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what I do.
I could just work all night and I'm fine. But the minute it's like where you have to do it,
Yeah, it's hard to
comes,
do that. You have to really discipline yourself. It's
yeah,
not easy, it's not what I thought it was going to be, and it's not like anybody thinks it is when you say you're an artist. It's not. It's very difficult. There's a lot of weird difficulties that you never expect, that I never expected. Just
yeah,
the business. It's like, here's the thing, that this is what drives me nuts about it. It's like and I hate this. I'm constantly thinking about money. Constantly.
yeah,
Constantly, and I fucking hate that. It's like, it's so gross. And I'm not even like an anti-money person. It's like, I'm good. I like having money. I'm good with I'm not like I have trouble with having money like a lot of artists do, but it's like, man, I don't want to fucking think about it 24/7,
right.
and you have to, because it's like, that's the way the business is, and so you have to think. It's just like gross. That's the best word I could describe it, as gross.
Yeah, it's like you sit down and you think like, man, like this is what people think being an artist is. They think it's like, what am I gonna make today? I know I'm gonna make a kangaroo flying an airplane and whatever.
Yeah.
There it is. No, it's like, what am I gonna make that I can sell?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What am I gonna make that can pay the rent this month? Oh, I got this bill. What can I make for exactly $395?
Totally, man. And it's not like, you could just be like, okay, what am I? It's always a balance of what this is for me. It's like, what can I do that I love that I can also sell and make money from? It's never just what can I do what I would love to do. Never. Because if it was, I would probably take a couple weeks and go make a bunch of music or something, or something super experimental,
Hold that thought.
Okay. We're just looking at the dogs here in the chair.
What I heard, somebody was telling me that they talked to Greg Hildebrand, and like he was talking about doing personal projects, and what he does is he gets up at like 4 a.m. every day and puts in 4 hours on his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then he goes back to bed, and when he gets up, he does. I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm thinking like, boy, that sounds like a good idea. If you just commit, a certain amount of time each day or each week, do something you really love,
right?
And you can do it. But that's harder to actually do than to say, because as soon as you start doing something you really love, you're like, oh, I really should stop now.
Yeah, you get obsessed. You get on a flow. You don't want to stop it.
Exactly. But to what we're saying, this has been my love project, is my Batmobile.
Oh, cool. That's awesome, man.
I've been working on this thing for fucking years, man.
What did you start with?
It started with rigid foam, insulation foam, and I just coated I carved it in like no time. And this was actually right back when you and I were first connecting, because it was right about the time that I was doing stuff for Conjoined.
Oh, okay, right.
And remember, I don't know if you remember that skull I did with the pipes coming out of his head, the big.
Yeah.
Well, it was at the same time that I did him. I figured, wow, that was fun to do, and it didn't take me that much time.
I'm gonna do a Batmobile.
I'm gonna do a Batmobile. And I thought I would do it the same exact damn way, But I don't know what it was with this. It was a complete different thing, because I think because it's a machined, it's got to be precise lines.
Yeah, symmetrical. And
well, I'm not doing symmetrical because I don't know if you can even see much of this, but it's kind of wonky.
Oh, cool. So you're kind of doing it in your like distorted style.
Yeah,
what a great idea. That's a
the
cool
idea
idea.
that it's kind of skidding.
Oh, I
You know,
love that. I love that.
it's up on one wheel, the other wheel's going to be shooting off.
Oh, that's
Batman's
so cool.
and Wonder Woman and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot involved in it.
And you know, the first thing that I thought of is like,
What?
oh man, you're going to be able to sell that thing so easily.
But see, I was never
I
even
know.
thinking of selling. It was just that's what I wanted to do. But I guess my point is that you got to find time to do those things. You gotta squeeze in where you can to get those little bits of joy, because everything else is just a grind.
Yeah.
I mean, behind this wall is my workshop where it's just, here's where I cast, here's where I pull things out of the mold, here's where I clean, here's where I sand. Just like, and you probably get this where you're spending days where you're just constantly filthy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Stuff. And it could just like be like, oh, I'm just so tired of getting up every day and being covered in fucking goo and whatever else is all over me.
Yeah.
and I another thing with me is over the years I've been exposed to so much bad crap that I'm now hyper allergic to everything.
Oh, really?
Everything.
Yeah.
If I work with plaster, boom. If I'm sanding wood, it gets on my skin and my skin just goes bananas.
Oh god. So you wear one of those Tyvek suits all the time when you work?
I should. But I don't. I wear gloves. I do what I can, but it's like I got to space it out. Like I can only work on certain things for like the Batmobile. That's made out of not Magic Sculpt, the other stuff, the abs epoxy. The 2-part epoxy. You ever work with that?
Yeah.
It's basically an epoxy.
Avs. Is that what the stuff you're talking about?
Yeah. There's also another brand called Magic Sculpt, which is basically Magic Sculpt is the same kind of stuff, but I think Magic Sculpt is a little more toxic.
Oh, is it?
A little bit more. I've heard rumors that Magic Sculpt, and I don't want any lawsuits on me, but I've heard that it could cause nerve damage if you're not careful.
I use the Ave stuff because it comes colored, it comes black,
Yeah.
Different
I think
colors.
Magic does too.
Oh, does it?
The only reason I really switched was because Magic Sculpt was readily available when I was near New York, but now that I'm out here, I could only find the abs, so I use that. But that stuff will get on me and destroy me. So I can only work on the Batmobile like one day, and then I got to take 4 days off. I can work on this for another day, and then I can work on I gotta kind of space it all out. Like today I can sand, this day I could do that, this day I could do that. Painting I can do all the time. Painting doesn't bother me. I can work with Super Sculpey, and that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I can work with the monster clay and stuff like that. It's all well and fine. It's just any of the more
epoxy type.
Epoxy type or plaster.
What do you? How do you like the monster clay? What did you get? What grade did you get? Medium, soft. Yeah, medium's the one.
But I think I want to get the hard because I came up through the toy industry working with Castelline.
So I'm used Castellines, yeah.
Hard chunk of solid thing. The medium's okay, but I think hard you can get a little more refined detailing. I think.
Yeah. Try it. When I want to get the stuff really hard, the medium, I just put it in the freezer for a little bit, and then it gets really hard.
But then I forget about it, and 5 days later, and it's a frozen chunk of ice.
I love it though. I love that stuff. I still go between Chavant NSP medium and Monster Clay medium grade. Those are my two go-to clays, and Wed for big stuff.
I got a big box of wet and I never really used it. I did one thing, but I did over foam. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess that was my mistake because I even talked to you about it when I was doing it. And you were telling me, oh, you can't put it on top of something because that encourages it to crack.
Right. Yeah. You can't. Well, it's been so long. I mean, we sculpted suits over people. It's just that you have to keep it wet
Yeah.
constantly and put like paper towels or wet towels and then a bag. So at the end of the day, you have to bag it up. As
Hmm.
long as you keep it a certain level of wet, it won't crack. You know, it's.
But
But
then how do you mold it if it's wet?
well, you let it dry out. You let it because you do want to that get it to that point where uh you want to be able to carve it because that's what's so nice about wet is that it as it dries it's got silica in it, which is also why it's toxic, the dust of wet, because it's got silica mixed in. So when it dries, not totally dry, but as it stiffens up, it's really nice. It's almost like a wax. It's almost like monster clay when it starts to stiffen up, and you can get really great carving. It's real smooth and
Hmm.
silky. But if it's too thin on spots, it'll crack as soon as it starts to dry out. So you have to make sure it's like a certain thickness
Yeah.
and kind of, as much of an even thickness as you can. But I remember we do like body suit sculptures, and where the sculpture would blend off right here because you had gloves that were going to cover it. Everywhere it was thin, where it would start to blend off, it would just flake and crack, and you just had to keep wetting that area. It's just, one of the things you got to deal with,
Hmm.
So, but I remember, maybe sculpting wed stuff over hard foam, but sealing it with shellac, drilling a bunch of screws in it, and then wrapping it with
Right.
wire so that it grabs, and then just keeping it like, nice and thick, and then it could get firm enough to where you could carve it and not crack. But anywhere it was thin, it would just, and sometimes even it would crack in certain spots, and you had to kind of go and like fix it if you were working on it too long.
Hmm.
But you could just bust things out so fast. That's what's so good about it. It's like so soft when you start with it.
Well, that's what I like about the monster clay too, is that you can get things going pretty fast in
Mm-hmm.
comparison to like castelline, which would take 20 years to get something just roughed out.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
like that you can microwave it too. You just put the little tray in the microwave and heat it up, and
Well, you could do that with castelline, but castelline, you know, the
isn't
problem.
Castelline like liquid and then it kind of gets hard, whereas Monster Clay's
Cast,
got more of an area in there, whereas it's cooling. It's like more like doughy.
what it seems to me is that monster clay is a little more of a greasy wax kind of
Right.
thing, where castelline is more of a hard wax, like a jeweler's
Right.
wax.
So you're like building it up when it's wet, kind of, when it's liquid.
You do that. You could do that. Yeah. Yeah.
I've worked with it a little bit.
I actually like working with it. It's just that it's very time consuming.
Yeah.
Um, because like what you do is you microwave it to a certain point and then you can kind of mount it. You can sort of shape it, but it hardens pretty quick. And once it's hardened, then it's a lot of reduction. It's a lot of carving
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Yeah. You could
And
even
then
sand it too,
you can
right?
sand it and polish it. You
File
can
it.
do yeah, you can get really sharp, crisp details in it. And then you have like torches and your tools. You heat up the tools and you have the liquid stuff. You can add more to it,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But
Right. Yeah.
sometimes what will happen is where you're adding the liquid to the already the cured stuff, is the bond doesn't take as well, and
Yeah.
you'll have that are falling apart constantly.
Yeah.
Like I was making a skeleton out of it, and every damn time, the ribs would just keep falling off because how many times it melted that damn rib onto it, it wouldn't stick. Whereas
Right.
if I do monster clay, it'll just be like boop 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 boop.
Do you know those the Aurora monster model kits. You know those
Yes,
from when
of
we were
course.
kids. Yeah, of course. Um, I my friend told me those were sculpted in acetate. They were like hard. They were like carved and sanded out of plastic.
Hmm.
Something called acetate, which I know of acetate is like a thin like plastic,
Right,
but
right.
I think that's what he said. It was acetate, so it was some way of like it sounded like carving out of wood or something, where you kind of form it when it's hot, and then it's all dremeling and sanding.
Wow.
Isn't that a trip? And it makes sense when you look at those kits because they are very like slick and really like the capes and stuff and the pants and they're
Right.
very like super smoothed out and
Hmm.
yeah I always thought that was a trip. They were like tooled,
Yeah.
it was more like a tooling thing, like a carving tooling hard plastic material, which is weird.
And they glow in the dark.
Yeah.
You do a lot of glow in the dark stuff.
Oh man, I so love glow in the dark. Yeah, yeah, it's great. I found a resin called Siltec from Silpack. That's a shatter resistant resin.
Right.
It's slightly rubberized, but not to where you could even bend it. You don't really feel it.
Hmm.
It feels like a hard piece, but if you have regular like the cheaper that tan urethane resin, the stuff that comes out kind of tan. I'm sure
Okay.
I've got some around somewhere. Like this stuff. I don't know. Have you ever seen
Right.
stuff that's kind of yellowish? Is that Mitch Devane sculpted a John Carradine death mask or life mask?
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, he was amazing. It's funny. You remind me of Mitch a little bit, just kind of your look and general vibe.
Huh.
But he was like he did these things for fun. It's like he would take a live cast and it's so real. I mean, it's like I remember when I first was showing it to people, they didn't believe me that they thought it was a scan, but it's like it looks exactly like it. He was like a reproducing machine. Like he could just reproduce anything exact and he would do like all kinds of measurements. He would knew how to shrink things down. Anyway, this stuff is brittle. This is like the cheaper, really thin. It looks like I don't know, whiskey or something. When you mix it, it's like dark brown,
Okay.
but it's like if you threw it on the ground, it would shatter. And this other stuff I got, the Siltec stuff, which is like it won't shatter. It's like it's hard, but it's got a certain amount of give, so it's shatterproof. So anyway, it comes like semi-transparent,
Right.
and so you can tint it and you can put glow powder in it. It just glows like crazy. It's not 100% clear, but nothing I need to cast is ever 100% clear. So it's great.
There- There's so much more available now in as far as plastics and
Oh, I
resin
know. Yeah.
than were, 30, 40 years
Oh,
ago,
yeah.
20 years ago.
Yep.
I mean, have you ever worked with what's it, cosclay? It's like a super sculpey that's flexible.
I have some, but I've never tried it. I
Yeah,
started messing with it and then I got sidetracked, but I do have
it's
some.
it's a little weird. Like I personally wasn't thrilled by it. A lot of people I know really love it. They
What
learn.
what's the purpose though?
Well, the purpose is that, like, let's say you're doing Medusa, okay, and you want to have all these snakes coming out of her head, but you don't want the snakes breaking. You do them in cosplay. It's flexible. You can put a wire,
Okay, that's right.
and then it's literally bendable after it's been cured.
How far does it bend before it will break?
I've seen people do some pretty good, like even articulated hands where the fingers could open and close.
Really?
So yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
mean, as long
cool.
as there's wires in there, it it's not going to be like rubber, but
Right.
it's close to it.
That's cool.
But that's the problem I had with it, was that it was too rubbery. Like when I'm working with Super Sculpey, I like to get it to a certain point and then bake it just slightly, and then it's a little bit kind of hard on the outside, and you can kind of take a scraping tool and kind of work in the details.
Yeah.
It's kind of soft enough that you can sort of do stuff with it, and it's a lot of sanding and scraping when I'm doing Super Sculpey, but I couldn't do that with the Cons clay,
Right.
because if I tried to scrape it, it just kind of it didn't do it. It didn't sand well from what I tried.
Okay.
But it's wrong. I don't know.
So what's your preferred sculpting medium? If you take it into like assuming that whatever you were sculpting can be made into the final product in some other way, where that's not a consideration, how you're casting or molding it, or whether it's a one-off. What's your favorite sculpting material?
Okay, I'll break it down to you in a number of ways. One of the things that I really enjoy doing, the things that I love doing, are the big things. Now this guy here, this is
That's so cool.
rigid foam with plaster.
Wow.
And
that's so cool.
It's a lot of carving the foam to a certain point, and then brushing on the plaster, layering the plaster, and sanding it away. The thing about this though is this head is super lightweight. It's huge. I can get all kinds of detail with it, but plaster is messy. I'm highly allergic to it, and he has a whole body that I did that kind of got broken apart because it was only made out of plaster. I'm making a new body for him that's going to be a soft foam body. And he's going to be wearing clothes, so it's going to be a different kind of thing, so that if I have to take him around to a show or whatever, he transports easier than a big plaster thing. That's a downside of plaster, is it will break.
Yeah.
But a piece like this won't. This is good, but the whole damn skeleton. I don't know. Can you see that?
No. Pull it a little more in. Can you bring it? Oh yeah. Oh cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I made a whole skeleton for him, and it was just, I should have had like a steel armature in there so that it didn't wobble.
Yeah.
Any of that just broke the plaster all to pieces. So he's getting a new body that's going to be a lot more sustainable to him. But if I could, I would just do a lot more of this kind of thing. Like even the piece that I did for your show, that was very similar to this guy. That was a lot of fun to do. Like, I like working big.
Yeah.
I like doing just whatever the hell I want to do.
Yeah, that carving foam is really great. That's something I have done on a very limited basis, but I always really loved it. It's just so messy. Carving that, you get little granular.
It's messy, yes.
Granular pieces all over, and it's like you kind of really should wear a respirator and a.
That's the thing. I've done 30 years of not doing that, which is why I have lung problems now and skin problems.
Yeah.
So they say find what you like and let it kill you. And I took that literally. But that's something I really enjoy. I really enjoy doing things out of foam, big. Plaster is fun, and you can get so much nice texture, and plaster just takes the paint so nicely.
How do you texture plaster? I mean, how do you like smooth out your texture on plaster? Do you like use like a steel wool or something, or if you're gonna do wrinkles or something, fine wrinkles?
That's tricky. Uh, I would do a like I use a lot of these guys, rasps.
Okay.
You just kind of go in
Yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah. That makes
you know.
sense.
Um, and it's a lot of just building up, taking away, building up, taking away, building up. And you try to get as much of the structure and everything there in the foam, so that the plaster's just kind of coating it. But you
Right.
can add bits and details to it, depending on how thick you make the plaster too.
That's true. That's true.
You can brush it on, or you can kind of get it goopy and sort of spoon it on. You
Mm-hmm.
can wait for it starts to get a little bit hard, and then you can kind of press it and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. You
So
could
there's
also
there's
probably carve deep, rough wrinkles and then
coding.
coat it
Yeah,
so that rounds things out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What a trip. Yeah. It sounds really fun.
It is, and I would be doing a lot more of that if I wasn't allergic to it.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's the one thing. I also like doing the epoxy stuff because that's indestructible.
Yeah, I know. That is nice. It's like a
My,
rock.
my Batmobile can take a bullet.
Yeah.
You shoot that damn thing and it ain't gonna break. I have no fear of shipping that anywhere.
Yeah.
As plaster stuff. I just shipped out a monster plant that was done in the same way as the skull. It was rigid foam and then coated with plaster. And what I did was I flocked it so it looked like it was all mossy and stuff like
Oh,
that.
cool.
But I had to ship that to Texas, and that was a nightmare. That was an absolute, because it was huge. It was like a big plaster sculpture, and I was like so having panic and anxiety about shipping this thing.
Okay. So how did you ship this?
Well,
Do you have to get a custom crate made and all that?
no, I did it all. What I did was first I built a box like right up against it with thin insulation foam.
Okay.
And then I covered it with garbage bags, and I did it was actually like 4 pieces that pulled out with expandable foam.
Mm-hmm.
So it was in that. If you just imagine the sculpture encased in expandable foam.
You can buy those little packets of like they're plastic bags that you kind of crush, and it has a foam mixture in there, and it fills up for you to like, for smaller pieces.
I just use great stuff.
What's that?
I use great stuff.
What's great stuff? I love all the technical talk. I love this stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, okay.
Can. So
Wow.
what I do is I cover the sculpture with the garbage bag, spray the great stuff in there, and it filled up and it filled the box.
How big was it?
It was huge. We're talking massive.
How many cans did it take? That must have taken a lot of
cans. It took a lot of cans.
Damn. Okay.
But that alone, it still wouldn't have been okay because, the pieces encased, it's not going to shake around or anything like that. But then I had to take that box and put it in a bigger box of packing peanuts.
Oh my God.
Always double box. If you're shipping
Yeah,
a sculpture box. And, I used to be like, it's going to cost so much to do it. It's worth it. It's worth to do it right, pay what it's going to cost to ship it. It's going to be a nightmare if it gets broken.
Yep.
It got there. It got there in perfect condition. So
wow.
Even the stuff I shipped out to you at CoPro always got there pretty much okay. I think there was one, the little piece of veneer broke off.
Yeah. I remember that. So was it wood or cardboard was your outer box?
Cardboard.
Oh, that's cool.
But it was a $50 box.
Right. Yeah.
It was dense cardboard.
Man, I got shipped. I need to find out what kind of box it was. I got stuff shipped from it was really interesting. I'd never had painting shipped this way before. Maybe because they were ovals. They were oval weird frames I made with like little points on each, all 4 points, and 11 by 14 ovals. And it was Bain Art Gallery in Australia, and they sent the unsold ones back to me. They got this cardboard that was really strong. It's like the strongest cardboard I'd ever seen or felt. And they just put like one sheet of cardboard and they put the painting up against it, and then they wrapped it with saran wrap all around. And then they made a bigger box, and then they slid all of the paintings in this box. But the box itself was like the strongest cardboard I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It's like I need to get that kind of cardboard because
that cardboard comes from Wakanda, and it's got adamantium in it. Vibranium. I'm sorry. Vibranium is what comes from Wakanda. I'm sorry.
Okay, how did you ship it? What service did you use?
It had to go UPS because it was too big for the post office, and FedEx charges like $3 million for anything to go anywhere.
Wow.
And
yeah, FedEx is so expensive.
But I tell you, it was nerve-wracking for a guy like me. I suffer from anxiety, so I was just like completely shut down for the whole damn time that this was going in transit. And but now that I've done it, I'm like, okay, I can ship big things now because now I know how to do it.
Yeah,
you know, I did that, so now it's But again, if I do a plant like that again, it's not going to be done that way. I'm kind of reckless with a lot of the things I start out because I don't think it through, and I don't do armatures. I don't do any kind of structure.
It'd probably be good for you to know how to weld.
It would be very good for me to learn how to weld. Yes. It would be good for me to learn how to do my taxes too. There's probably a bunch of hygiene things that would be good for me to learn how to do. I'm kind of like Rain Man out here that, like I know what I know and I can do what I do.
Yeah.
I don't in so many other areas. It's like I have this computer and this is like an amazing piece of technology, but for me, it's my $3,000 Facebook machine because I don't do anything. There's all these things I'm like, what is this? I know Photoshop. Even in Photoshop, I don't know how to do half the stuff that you need to do.
Do you do shipping online? Do you like print your labels out or anything online?
No, because I have
man,
you
would. It's so much easier. And the other thing is, there's a service called Pirate Ship.
Somebody's been telling me about this. Yeah, I've heard about it.
Oh man, it's like they give discounts on everything. It's like you somehow, I don't know how, but like I had to ship these books, these 6-pound dystopia books, overseas, and that Kickstarter was so long ago that the shipping costs were almost triple from what people paid, and $150 in some places to ship this book.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, using Pirate Ship, I got them down like half price for the shipping.
Cool.
So they're expensive, like $50, $60, some of them, but it's better than like $150.
What was the actual shipping? Are they as reliable as the post office?
Oh, it's through the post office. It's like it gives you the post office, the post office and UPS are the two ones it uses, and it will give you like options based on price. And so they'll give you the cheapest one and what's the best one. And so you can choose, but it's always cheaper because I have another shipping software because I'm on a Mac. It's called Indicia.
Right.
Indicia. ICIA. I was using stamps.com, but they didn't have an app that worked for the Mac. So I got this Indicia, and it's a little app on your computer. And I even got like a small laser label printer, and it's just like, all my shipping is like, I print them out using Indicia or Pirate Ship, print out the labels, and then we just drop them off at the post office. It's
Wow,
so
that sounds
so
great.
convenient, and most of those places, I think stamps.com, which is like the popular one, they give discounts on everything. So just from doing it online, you save like $2 on a shipment. They'll give you like a discount on everything.
To ship that plant was $518.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
it sell?
It was a sold piece,
Oh,
yes.
okay, good.
But you know, when you consider what I put into it, what I put into the shipping, I mean, it cost me like a couple $100 just to put it in a box, you know.
Right.
So it's just, but it was a learning experience, and I know now to never do that again. And you maybe you're in the same boat, but I got to learn how to price my stuff more to the current age, because I'm still pricing things as if it's the 90s.
Yeah,
And
right.
I keep thinking like, oh, this is good money, and then it's just like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not when when you're making your hourly ends up being like $5 an hour when you
not
break it
even.
down.
There are pieces that I've done where I've paid to do them.
Yeah. Well, with the I've been able to like with the paintings, I do 10 to 20% a year if things are selling. That's generally it's like I stopped for a few years when the economy was bad, but I'd been like the rule that's a rule of thumb in the fine art world is 10 to 20% a year to keep
Yeah,
the value going up. My prints I haven't raised. It's like prints and merch and stuff. I haven't really raised them that much for some reason. I probably should, but I a lot of the prints I raise them every couple of years a little bit, you know. But the paintings are like the main thing. You want those to increase in value for the buyers.
right.
So it's like if you keep raising the price, and it's like you can't get this size painting for less than this money. Everybody who bought them that size 10 years ago or 5 years ago, their investment went up, you know?
Right. That's smart. Yeah.
So you should try and
I,
do it.
I suffer from all that guilt though. I always feel like I gotta like make things that people can afford, and I feel bad like, oh, this is too
I
much
know.
money. It's like, this is my livelihood. And then you get like friends that want stuff, and they like everybody wants, the deal, the bargains and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, but you got to think, okay, the way I look at it is like I was selling this stuff for so cheap 20 years ago,
Yeah.
so if you weren't buying back then I don't know, my stuff I still don't feel like my stuff is as gets as much as it should. Like I still feel like I'm inching towards where I think that is a good price for them. I still think they're underpriced slightly.
Yeah.
Um, but it's what the market will bear, what your collectors will pay for it is the value, really,
Yeah. I mean, like you don't want to raise things too much where people just stop buying, but you don't, but it
Yeah.
is kind of hard to maybe not have as many people buying, but you're charging more, so you're doing less, but you're still making the same money.
Right. Yeah. My friend Gabe Leonard, he's got like a totally different model. Like I got the paintings, which are sort of my high end stuff, and then I've got the resin casts and prints, which are stuff that's more affordable. And then at the really low end, I've got small $20 prints, like 8x10 prints, and I've got the studies, which are like for people who want to collect originals but can't afford $5,000 piece or a $3,000 piece that they could maybe afford a $700 piece, and so I try and hit all the ranges in there, and but like Gabe he makes I think most of his money from canvas prints, canvas clays, and they're expensive. They're like twice what I charge for mine, or maybe even more. It's like he's selling them in these specific galleries, and you can't get them unless you pay this much money for them. They're limited editions. And so his bread and butter are canvas giclées, and he raises his prices accordingly. But he ends up keeping most of his originals, which is crazy. So he's got a ton of originals because he's making most of his money from the giclées. So he's like just stacking cash, all these originals.
I've been doing this for over 30 years and I don't have any of my art.
I know. I barely have anything.
I've had to sell everything.
Yeah.
There's always that time where like, oh man, the rent is due, and I end up selling like a $3,000 piece of artwork for $500 because that bill paid. And there's always someone willing to take advantage of you in that situation too.
Yeah. It's such a bummer that it comes to that sometimes, man. I mean,
there's some real sharks out there. There's a bunch of people that just like wait for you to have a bill to pay, and they just pounce on you because they don't come around when you're doing well and you got the stuff at full price. They just want the deals. They just want to get what they can from you.
Yeah. Well, I try and I only do the standard gallery thing is like you can offer 10 to 20% discount. Like you can give up to 20% discount, and I don't go below that unless I'm super desperate and it's totally like someone I know or behind the scenes. But generally I try and keep it at, I don't go below that 20% just because the galleries aren't happy, don't like you to do that.
Well, I don't deal with galleries.
That's the thing,
my own. It's just galleries just don't seem to be interested. But it's just I
got one gallery.
There's always that time where all of a sudden Waffles is in need of some kind of surgery or something, and then all bets are off. I'll sell whatever I have to get him the care that he needs.
Look at which one is this in the chair?
Oh, this is Waffles.
Waffles.
I'm gonna bring him over.
Oh, he's so cute.
He is a good little boy. He is such a
sweet dog.
I tell you how much I love having him and Lady. Lady went over to sleep on the couch, but
okay.
He is such a good boy. I've always had these like two animal spirits around me my whole life. A boy and a girl, and they always act the same way. It's always like a super, super attached boy, and then like a sweet kind of shy girl. When I had squirrels, I had a boy squirrel that had imprinted on me, and I had a girl squirrel that was just like a sweet little shy, poofy, fluffy little girl. But he'll sit with me all night. Like Lady will be over on the couch and she's just snoring away, but he'll come over and he'll sit right under me while I'm sanding.
Wow.
He'll be with me. Sometimes it's annoying because if I'm working, things are falling off the table. He's right underneath me and I don't want him getting hurt. But he's got to be with me all the time. Lady, she will come over to the chair and watch TV, or she'll come over to the couch, but she's not going to come over and sit on the concrete.
Yeah. Where'd you come up with the name Waffles? It's a great name.
At the time that I had got him, I had just been posting a lot about wanting waffles.
That's it.
and it just seemed to fit him. And I mean, Lady, I probably could have come up with a better name for her, but it just suits her so well. Like she's Lady. She's Lady.
Yeah. That's a great name.
His full name is Waffles McGee.
Hey, Waffles.
Because he's a little McGee.
He's
a funny. I've never liked. Well, I shouldn't say I never liked, because I like all animals. I love animals. I adore animals, but I never saw myself as having small dogs. I like, Irish wolfhound kind of dogs. He had giant, dogs that you could ride.
Yeah.
But this guy's just so perfect. He's just so perfect. He's like the perfect dog for me, and they're the perfect dogs for this studio.
Yeah. And they showed up on your doorstep without. They just showed up on. you know,
They
they're
have a following. I get fan art of them. People
really.
draw them and paint them, and they have these nice fancy collars that some woman made for them, and another friend made me a calendar of them. They're celebrities.
That's so
People
cool.
love these guys.
So cute.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Aw.
He's been being so good just sitting back there in his chair.
Yeah.
Normally he's a little bit more of a pain in the butt, but
He's very sweet.
you got him on a good day.
Yeah, he seems very sweet.
He is.
So
and he's another thing that people come to the studio for, because they want to meet the pups.
yeah. That's one thing that I really wish I had a studio for, which is like studio visits for collectors and stuff. And it's like I have them, I have collectors come over, but it's like, it's in my living room, and then my room is a bedroom. It's like a small bedroom, and it's like a lot of times if it's a group of people, they can't all fit in the room. It's like, it's really, I'd love to have a big studio to where I could have open house, make an event out of it or something. But
fuck yeah. I remember when I met Del Toro, and he was asking me about my studio, and at that time I was in a little room in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I just had that's about it. It was like, I was like, studio? There ain't no studio. I mean, you're welcome to come over anytime you want, but it's just going to be me and you sitting in a little room.
Right.
I got for him to come here. Like here, I actually have stuff to show him.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's such a weird spot, and it's all just circumstance that brought me here. Like I ended up here because the apartment that I was renting was in my sister's house, and her husband were selling the house, and I had like a month to get out. So I had to come up with something. I had no money, no job.
Where was this at?
Where was it?
What state?
New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was in Nutley, New Jersey, which is a really nice town, and it's like a 10-minute bus ride from Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the perfect spot to be. Like I could meet friends from all over the country, because everybody goes to Manhattan. They'd be like, hey, I'm in New York. You want to, I mean, hell, that's where I met Del Toro. He was in Manhattan doing a book signing. But, I had nowhere to go. I had no money. I had no work or anything. And I was just like, I can't even get, I won't even pass the credit check to get an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened that my friend had this studio at the time, and she was looking for someone to share it.
Oh, that's right. So that took you out to where the state you're in now.
North Carolina. And that's
how far is that from New Jersey?
It was a 12-hour drive.
Okay.
So I just hopped in the car, grabbed what I could, and without even seeing the place,
Really?
I just showed up. Yeah.
Wow.
And
were you living there at that time, or?
For a little bit, I kind of crashed here because I didn't have enough place.
Right.
I found this woman that's on the other side of town that has a, it's her sewing room basically is where I sleep.
Right.
So it's not even really an apartment. It's just, I can use the bathroom, I can use the kitchen, but I don't. I just go sleep and do my thing and get out of there. I'm here all the damn time. I'm literally here because everything that I have is here. There, I just sleep or take a shower or whatever.
So you got to have like some kind of bed there in case for the long nights where you're just taking a nap or something.
Couch. I take a lot of naps on the couch, and that's what's great about these guys is they fit right on the couch with me. But
so you're spending most of your time in that studio, so you're essentially just sleeping in the other place, really.
Yeah, and occasionally taking a shower.
Yeah.
There's that hygiene thing again.
You have to eventually.
I guess.
Especially with beards like ours, man.
It's not like I'm around anybody,
Right.
who would complain.
Yeah.
The dogs don't care. They seem to like me no matter what. They don't care how I smell. They're always here.
So you're working 7 days a week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I would love to have, a support system out here. I would love to have uh, what I used to do. About 20 years ago, I had a studio half this size in New Jersey, and it was in an old, industrial complex. But what was cool was I was in New Jersey, so I was close to everybody, and I could have like we every month we'd have like a gathering of artists. All these
Mm-hmm.
artists would show up, and they'd all bring their artwork. We'd have musicians that would come and they'd play and they'd jam, and
Yeah.
it would just be a whole night of just art, and talking about art, and sharing stuff. And man, I miss that. I miss having that. And like, you can do it online, but it's just not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
I used to like getting the place kind of cleaned up and setting out,
Yeah.
cheese and whatnot, and just socializing. Like
Yeah.
I want to have that kind of thing. To have like what you were talking about, the art studio visits and stuff like that, or
Right.
even like it would be cool to have like I've always thought like it'd be cool to have a thing where we get a bunch of us together, artists, and then like sell tickets to people that want to come and just have dinner with us.
Right. Yeah.
like a fancy, dress up dinner, like a Halloween themed kind of dress up.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, come have spaghetti with Chet.
There's gotta be, it seems like there's gotta be people in North Carolina not too far from you that are other weirdo art people.
I guess there are, but it's so hard now to meet people.
Right.
For me, because I'm old. I don't socialize well. I don't, I don't even have clothes to wear to nice anymore.
I know
like
what you mean.
I used to have at least a set of clothing. Like, this is what I wear to galleries. Here's what I wear when I go over to my friends. Here's what I wear. I even had things for dating. Like, here's what clothes I wear for. I don't even fuck that. That's cool. No more. But now it's just this. It's just dirty t-shirts and dirty pants, and that's all.
Well, anybody listening in North Carolina area, if you're an artist
and you want to hang out with a dirty, smelly guy,
if you want to hang out with a dirty, smelly old guy with a cool studio and a couple cool dogs,
exactly.
I bet you there's a community out there for you.
The problem is, and the thing is too, I'm in an artist complex. There are other studios in this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For some reason, I had the idea that it was just this warehouse on its own in the middle of nowhere.
That's my building. I'm in my own separate building. And that's the thing. Everybody else is in the next building over.
Oh, I see.
Their studios are nothing like mine. Their studios are a little more refined and a little more inside.
You don't ever go hang out with them or talk to them or anything?
Occasionally I see them, but I don't really. I don't even know when people are over there. Like there's one guy I know who's a children's book illustrator, and his studio is like right behind mine. So I see him, and we chat every now and then. But he's got his thing going on, and I got my thing going on.
You never invite him. You never invite him to. Have they been in your studio? Because I imagine if they came in your studio, they would be pretty like impressed.
He has.
Okay.
And a couple others have, but when I first came out here, they were like, who's that devil worshipping guy?
Oh yeah, right. You're in North Carolina.
Yeah.
It's so funny that someone would think that about you.
I know. But it's mostly that I'm antisocial.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be. I just am.
Yeah.
I I have anxiety, I have depression, and I have time management issues. I don't know how. Like I get up and I'm here every day. What I'm thinking about isn't, boy, it would be nice to have some people come over tonight and hang out and we'll just chill. No, I'm thinking I got to get these 20 things done,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
20 things done, and then I got to do 200 of those, and then
And
I
I
got
got to
to
pay the rent, and
pay the rent, and the dogs need to be walked every 10 minutes, or else lady's going to pee on the floor.
right.
You know, it's always it's just this constant like bum 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 bum. That's literally how my brain is.
Yeah.
It wasn't always like this though. Like I used to fit in social activities a lot more, but now I don't. I don't talk on the phone with people. I'm
Hmm.
online a lot, but that's easy because you can go like, oh, blah 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 blah, and then you can walk away.
Right.
Like you sit there and hear whatever the hell people are going on about. I could be working, I could be sweeping, I could be building, I could be doing
Right.
whatever the hell. But yeah, I mean, you're definitely right. There are people here. I could get some kind of social thing, and that's one of the things that I get from doing the workshops,
Yeah, yeah.
which I started, and then the pandemic happened, and I just haven't done them since. But those are fun. It's nice to have other people in the space. It's nice to have memories that you're building in the space, and it just makes it a more happy kind of thing, other than just constantly working.
You know what would be cool would be to do workshops where people physically go, local people can physically go to, and then also have a live feed for people who are out of the state.
You're absolutely right.
You'd make way more money probably too, like probably twice as much money.
And I guess there again is that whole like, I don't know how to do
Yeah.
that. Like I just get like, it's weird. Like you can come to me and say like, oh, it'd be cool if you learned how to weld. I could more easily pick up welding equipment and teach myself how to weld than I can figure out how to download an app.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just a thing with me. Like maybe I'm an old guy. Like I can program a VCR sort of, but now I have the Blu-ray player wants to connect online for some reason, and I'm like, why do you want to do that? Why can't you just play my Blu-ray? I get stressed out, and I'm like, why do I have to program this? And like, God forbid, if I have to get a new car, because cars are all computerized now, and it's
Yeah.
like they don't have tape decks anymore. They don't have CD players. They don't
No.
have. It's all stuff that just makes me mental. I have enough technology on this. I have an iMac. I'm sitting in front of.
Mhm.
There's enough stuff on here that I could be making movies with what I have.
Mhm.
I'm sure somewhere in this thing there's editing equipment.
Yeah,
and
it comes with iMovie, which is like the easiest movie editing software.
exactly, but I don't know how to use it. And I'm the kind of guy that if someone physically comes over and shows me how to use it, that's one thing. But if you tell me how to use it, I'm just like, I'm not going to do that.
What about you? What about YouTube tutorials or watching videos? Because that's like you can learn.
Sometimes that helps.
Yeah, you can. Anytime I need to know how to do something, I just look it up on YouTube, and it's more a matter of like keeping my attention on it enough to really,
I miss just being able to go to like my friends and see how they're doing stuff. Like actually sit behind somebody and watch them do it on their computer or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, they have people who will set you up for live streaming, but it's expensive.
If I were like super rich, that's the one thing I would have. I would have a full-time tech person that just did all my tech shit.
Yeah. Yeah, live streaming would be good. Well, yeah, I can't tell you how to do it. It's a pain in the ass to first set up. I'll have to say I haven't even really done it that much. I use it for like I've got my camera. I've got a camera here,
Uh-huh.
like a DSLR, and you just one little hookup, a special hookup that plugs into the computer via USB, and then that's it pretty much. And you just tell Zoom to select the little piece of hardware that it plugs into, and you're
Yeah,
and
I can't even get Zoom on my computer.
oh, that's right, yeah.
I can't figure out why I can't get Zoom. I have Zoom.
Yeah, you
I
need
just upgrade Zoom for whatever reason. It won't let me do it.
you need a friend who's a computer person to come over and just sort you out.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
make
I need to start from scratch. I just need to just burn it all to the ground and start all over.
well. Do you have any? It's we're getting pretty late here. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but what do you have lined up? What's your future look like? Any new things on the horizon?
It looks pretty horrible. Um, mostly I'm doing the bookshelf stuff. I'm still doing the bookshelf monsters. Right now I'm finishing up the Were Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple original pieces that I'm working on. I'm starting to do wall plaques. That's the piece that I showed you with the monster clay.
Mm-hmm.
And I am what else? Working on this guy, my Batmobile.
Patreon, you got your app.
Pushing the Patreon. I gotta get a little more people supporting that so that I can keep doing this kind of things on my Batmobile. And
it's a great you're active on there. You post a lot.
I try to post 2 or 3 things a month at least, and I try to get as in depth as I can with things.
I'm a subscriber, so everyone should. If you subscribe to the Dark Art Society Patreon, you should throw Tom a few bucks and support him. It's a good Patreon. You learn a lot. It is a lot of the step-by-step stuff is really good.
And $2. I mean, it's like you can't even get a cup of coffee for $2.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not? Support artists. I support you and a bunch of others.
Yeah, me too.
But there was something else I was doing. And I did. I can't really show you, but I got back into comics.
Oh, cool.
Last year, a friend of mine hooked me up with some editors over at Marvel, and I did a whole bunch of stuff for trading cards.
Oh, no way! What, like special edition or something? Like
I don't know what it is. I'm so out of the loop with it, but they used to do this all the time where they'd have artists doing trading card sets, and sometimes they just do like it would be a theme, like they would do the Avengers, or they would do like villains, or whatever the hell it was that they were doing, and they'd either have a small group of artists and have them do a lot of cards each, or they just have a multiple array of artists.
Mm-hmm.
And basically I got to do 6 cards. Well, I was offered 6, but I only did 5 because of the time. But the weird thing is, it's like twice the time got pushed and pushed and pushed, so I could have done 6 if they but it was cool. It was cool getting back into that thing again, doing comic book characters.
Yeah, for people who don't know, you're like the only person to ever do sculptures for a comic book cover, right?
I wouldn't say I'm the only one. Dave McKeon used to do it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Dave McKeon did a lot of that stuff, but his stuff was so different, and he did a lot of layering with Photoshop.
Right.
Another guy that did some sculpture work was Bill Sienkiewicz. Have you had him on your?
No, I want to have him on.
Totally should.
Yeah, I know. I've never met him, so I'm always like nervous to ask people that I don't really know, especially legendary guys like him.
Bill is. I hate to keep bringing up Del Toro, but Bill is like in the same kind of category as Del Toro, where they're both like these legends that don't behave in any way like that.
Okay, good.
There is no ego with Bill. If you contact Bill and say, hey, I'm a friend of Tom Taggart's, and he said I should ask you about this podcast, he'd be there in a minute.
Oh, cool. All right, I'll ask him. I'll definitely ask him. Yeah, his stuff is just amazing. It's incredible.
But I wish I could show you
I didn't know he did sculpture stuff too.
Yeah, a little bit. Not quite as fully as what I do.
Yeah, that's the thing about. But the comic I'm talking about, like you did comic book covers that were like your sculptures. It's not like your sculpture was an element of a Photoshop thing that was kind of layered. It was like, and I've never seen any other comic book covers like that were just a sculptor sculpting an illustration.
There is a lot of 3D illustration outside of comics.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But comic book
for some
cover.
reason, in comic books, it was like pulling teeth trying to get work. And back in those days, to get the work, I often would have to create the cover first, and then go around and try to sell it.
What a crazy way to make a living, man.
Talking about, when I was 25 and full of beans. I mean, back then I was just like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Someone would say no to me, and I'd just be like, I'm not accepting that, and I just back. The way I got into the whole business was DC and Marvel Comics used to be in Manhattan, and this was before 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Security, wasn't the way it is now. Like, you could just go to the DC or Marvel building, get in the elevator, walk up, and go, hey, I'm here to see some editors, and just walk into the.
That's so crazy.
And I remember I had that like huge damn portfolio. And I just walked into Karen Berger's office, and Karen Berger is like kind of a hard-nosed, like no-nonsense editor. And I was just like, hi, I want to do Swamp Thing covers. And she was just like, she looked at my stuff, and she's like, no.
Oh, really?
It's like, you do not have what it takes to be doing this.
Oh, shit.
Dang, nabbit. And I went home, and I took, the concept at that time was I wanted to do a Swamp Thing cover. And I had this sort of sculpture of his face that was all made with twigs and whatnot. And she said it didn't look like Swamp Thing. So I took it home, and I worked it again. I sent it to her, and I was like, how about now? And she's like, no, it still doesn't look like it. And I was like, all right. So I just kept doing that until finally she's like, okay.
Really? You were like probably mailing her pictures too, right? Or were you dropping them off in Manhattan?
I might have been mailing her stuff.
Because there wasn't email back then.
I certainly didn't have email back at that time. No, yeah, I was mailing her shit. And then you'd have to like wait a week and call up on the phone and go, hi, Karen, did you get that thing I sent you? You're like, stop calling. And then, once I got one, I just kept doing that again. And then I got two, and then I got three. And then, then it started snowballing a little bit, but it was like pulling teeth.
Wow.
So it's good. It was good to be offered the chance to do that again, because now things are a little different. Technology is a little different. Like, I used to have to do my sculptures, and then I'd have to get a photographer to come in and shoot with format photography and those chromes. You know what that is? The 4x5s and the 8x10.
That's how I used to get my when I first, maybe 10 years of my art career, it was 4x5 transparencies.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
how, and then I had to get a special scanner and
that wasn't cheap. I was paying like $200 for a photographer to come in and work with me to do stuff and send it off to these people and be like, you want to buy it now? You want to buy it now?
That's what I'm saying. It's such a crazy way to make a living. It's doing stuff.
I would never do that. I would never do that now. But back then, it's just what I had to do.
We all did that. We all did that stuff. I mean, even like having a solo show it's a crazy way to make a living where you spend time creating a bunch of work that you don't know is going to sell.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's not like any I think any normal business person would be like, what the hell are you doing? But that's the way it works in the art world, you know. What are you going to do?
Even getting ready to do a convention like
Yeah,
Monster Palooza or something like that, you're still taking a gamble, and it's
for
still like
sure.
I could sit here and work for 2 months without getting paid, doing all this shit to make 1 month of salary, or I could just keep working and fuck it.
Yeah.
Like I can sell stuff from home. Why do I got to go and do this show
That's
for?
that's kind of what, I because I was doing the Monster Palooza every year and the Designer Con, but they moved to Anaheim and that was too far for me. Because I used to be in Pasadena, which is close to me. But I would do those two shows every year, and then when COVID hit, I stopped doing them, and I just haven't started back doing them again because it is like, you know, I could make that money not going to a convention. So
Yeah.
you have to like weigh it out because on the other hand, it's like you are cultivating relationships with your fans and you're meeting them, which counts for something, and it's cool for the fans too. But man, it's a lot of work. It's hard work setting up a booth and manning it. And going for 10, 12 hours a day or whatever it is
Yeah.
for it's
Yeah.
hard work and at this age I'm like I'm done for a week after that. Like I can't get started back up. I'm just laying in bed and it's like I can't afford to lay in bed. So you end up traveling, spending a bunch of money, and then you make about what you would make if you just said, okay, I'm going to have a sale with this product.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you can't work after a week. So it's like it's
Right.
hard.
Right. All of it.
I mean, yeah, it would be nice if, if maybe someone would set everything up, man, do everything, and then I could just show up and hang out and meet people and then
Well,
go.
that's how some of these rich guys do it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I heard like Alex Ross has like a booth that he spends a couple million on or something like that, but he probably makes 10 times that every freaking show.
It's crazy.
He had, from what I was told, he had like a 2-story booth at Comic Con.
Wow. At Comic Con, that's insane.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how, as a, back in the day, a musician, I had this really weird dream. I had this weird dream where I was, I'll stop after this if we could wrap it up. But I had this dream the other night that I was in my childhood room, and it was a weird, like lucid kind of dream where it felt like I was really there. It was weird, like an out of body thing. And that song, I want to bang on the drum all day. It's cheesy song, Todd Rundgren song. I was hearing that song in my head, and it made me vibrate and float off my bed. And then I felt this big force push me across the room, and I ended up across the room. It was kind of scary, and standing in front of a mirror that was like kind of covered up with boxes and stuff, so I couldn't really see myself. It was weird, totally weird dream. So anyway, I was, of course, trying to interpret that dream. So I'm like looking up the lyrics of that song and everything, and it's like there's nothing really there. But I remember thinking, you know, all you need is that guy. He was saying Todd Rundgren. I was looking it up. He was saying he would make 6 figures every couple months from that song because he had it in a Carnival Cruise Line commercial. This was years ago. And I was thinking, all you need is like one hit song as a musician, like a big hit, and you're set for life because you can
Oh
license
yeah.
it, you can play live gigs. And I was thinking, what is the equivalent for like a fine artist? There really isn't. I'm like, what is the thing? What's the hit? You know, you can't have like one amazing painting doesn't really work the same way. You know what I'm saying?
Prince or a book or something. I don't know.
You can't make that much money from a book or prints. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it was like, I wish there was some kind of hit. How could you have a hit as a fine artist like that would set you up for the rest of your life? Maybe it doesn't exist.
I wouldn't know. You know, I, I'm going to be like, 80 years old and still like, uh, how many of these bookshelf guys are I going to make?
Well, let me tell you, when my dad died, he was still painting,
Yeah.
broke his shit, living on Social Security.
Ugh,
He was happy to be painting. He just didn't
good.
care about money at all. But anyway,
I don't care about money at all either. I
I don't.
just don't want to have to worry about it.
I know. Same here.
I think about it.
Exactly.
And as bad as things are for, I shouldn't say things are bad because they're not. As hard as it might seem for me, I know so many people who are going through so much worse.
Oh, totally, man.
Hell, that I just had like this place where everybody could just be and we could all just be okay.
I know.
You know?
I know. I mean, your bookshelf thing was kind of your hit. That was kind of a hit for you. And I mean, you're still doing it. How many years ago did that happen? That was like a few years ago when that went viral. And you're still.
I would say 3 or 4. I don't know. I'm on my 5th year here. So it was 3 years ago.
So it was a hit.
It was a hit, and I'm glad for it. But
it's not making you 6 figures every couple of months.
It's not making me a damn thing because I'm too slow. I'm my own worst enemy. I should hire someone to come in here and help me knock these things out, but I don't.
Right.
And I probably could work faster. I used to. And I think that's the thing too. I'm stubborn, and in my head, I still think I'm that 30-year-old kid that could go without sleep.
Yeah, I know.
And even if I don't need the sleep, I don't seem to focus the same way I used to. There's too much noise and too many distractions now. It's like, oh, you gotta get something on Instagram. You gotta get something on Facebook. You gotta respond to the people on Instagram. You gotta respond to this message. You gotta do this. Dogs are peeing. Then you gotta do this. It's always just like boop, boop, boop. So you get these like moments where it used to be, I would just wake up and it would be this immersive kind of, I would just be in my world creating. Right. Time would stop. Yeah. I used to love working nights because it would just be like I was the only one on the planet.
I know.
Everything was quiet and calm, and you'd just be like working. You think you were working for hours and hours, and you look and we've only been working 20 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
Now it's like I think I'm working for 5 minutes, and I look and all of a sudden the sun's coming out. I'm like, what?
Well, the thing is, though, this will be the parting shot, is even with all of these difficulties, you're still going to do it. Because it's good enough to put up with all that shit.
And what else am I going to do?
That too, but still, I mean, if you were really motivated, you could probably do some other job that maybe had more security, but
yeah.
You got skills. You could.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway. Well, it was great talking to you.
Well, it was nice seeing you, man.
Yeah, you too. That's kind of. I know. That's kind of how. Yeah, we'll have to do it. We won't wait so long next time, and this one won't be on video, so everyone gets to see you this time. Because the other one I wasn't recording video back then.
No, it's a good thing I wasn't wearing pants the whole time.
Well, and
I don't know if you can see him, but little guy, he's all tuckered out.
So cute. Yeah, you get to see
exhausting day for him.
Yes, you get to see the dog as well. You get to see Waffles and Lady.
Yeah.
All right, so the last thing we have to do is just say goodbye to the audience in your own special way. So just say goodbye, audience, or however you want to do it. Go ahead.
Well, thanks for having me, and see you all. I don't know. Let's start that one again.
It's perfect.
It was great talking to you, and Think of me when you look to the night sky, folks.
See you, everybody. Thanks for listening.